Wow, what a week of sea change, and the conversations everywhere I turned were about fish and veganism. Quite interesting. As a fairly recent changer, I was asked a lot of questions about how I did it. What made me shift, and that sort of thing. So I hope you had a lot to think about and that makes this shift so much easier for you. This week, we're going to bring in the hearty stew. Typically made with cheap cuts of meat, the stew is an age-old dish. But today, we're going to introduce the world of pulses to you. The simple and easy plant-based protein source that is hearty and works in a stew. And it is less costly than your cheap cuts of meat, and of course, less costly on the planet too. This is Plant Your Life, the channel dedicated to helping you eat more plants to reach your goals of being healthier, reducing your eco footprint, or eating with a clear conscience. Or all three, because you will. If you're new here, maybe check out that channel introduction over there in the eye or in the description, because this is week 6, you can start at the beginning. Before we get into the stew, how did you go with replacing seafood? I bet the thought of giving up prawns at special events was a particularly hard pill to swallow. Yes, the pun was intended. But now you know you have to be a pretty hardcore carnivore to buy a product that has human trafficking in the supply chain. You could just eat human flesh, I suppose. Just go direct to the source, us plant-based eaters like to say. Skip the middleman. So that's some pretty dark humour there, sorry. So anyway, did you make the decision? Have you got the self-control to do it? Hit that like button if you do. Show me and the world that you are made of the strong stuff. Now this week I'm going to talk about the pulses. These are an age-old plant-based protein source. They have been around for thousands of years, literally. The first human use is recorded in Greece in 800 BC by Homer in the famous poem Iliad. These are wonderful sources of protein and all sorts of amazing goodies in the nutritional space. Study after study confirms them as the reason blue zoners live long lives. I'm talking about chickpeas, lentils and beans. The chickpea is one of my favourites. I love hummus. But it also makes a great replacement for chicken in almost any situation, but particularly in a stew or curry. Then you add your lentils and beans, and these can be a delicious replacement for a chuck steak in a stew. Give it that really hearty flavour. They are super easy to use, and this is the easiest way. Just open up the tin, drain, and put in your stew after you've done your aromatics. That's frying off your onions and garlic and things. It is easier than having to brown your meat and stuff around, and it is so much healthier. Now, if you think about costs, if you get the tin variety, which per kilogram is way cheaper than any meat per kilogram, but maybe a fairer way, you might say, is to compare is the price per gram of protein, which is comparable when you choose the cheapest possible cut of a cow. But then when you start getting into slightly better cuts, the pulses really look great. So here I did a table so you can see for yourself. I selected the most expensive, organic, picked under the full moon at dawn by specially selected handmaiden beans and chickpeas, and I put them up against the cheapest beef I could find. So you can see here, the cost per gram of protein for the cheapest beef is actually the lowest. But if the cheapest possible beef against the most expensive pulses is comparable, take a look at this table. If you cook your pulses from dried, it is even cheaper. You can also then add kombu and other things, which is a nutritional powerhouse, the kombu that is, from the sea. You can also buy chickpeas and other beans dry, in bulk, which brings the price right down to just 16p per gram of protein. in comparison to the cheapest cut of beef at 40p per gram of protein. With all the other costs like water, welfare and health to consider, that makes it so much cheaper than beef with a far lower footprint. Now, speaking of footprint, if you then look at the price in water per gram of protein as a representation of the eco footprint, which I've done here in this table, you can see that the beef is much more expensive in water usage. So this week, the goal is to replace your animal protein with a pulse in a stew. It works in curries and stir fries and all sorts of other meals too. But a regular meal is probably a stew, especially on the colder days. And we just had a real cold one this week. Perfect timing for this video as I could get some shots from my kitchen for you. So last week we were up to 2/3 or 14 possible easy vegan meals out of 21 meals a week. By changing this extra easy weeknight dinner dish, you're at 15 of 21. That is 71%. Right on your way there. That means you have made a huge dent in your health, a massive reduction in your footprint, and saved a few cute animals from slaughter every week. That is it for this week. Thanks for the early like. That really helps the channel and spreads the word. If you are new here, you might consider subscribing or check out the series introduction. You can also visit plantyourlife.fun, where you can start over and get a free email every week for the entire series, starting with number 1, to bite this off a bit slowly. And if you know someone that wants to increase their plant intake, then please share this video series with them. Now, over to you. Share below what were your favourite plant-based stews. What have you tried? Maybe you had some trouble and fell over. Tell me about that. So what is stopping you from making this jump? Share below in the comments. It can help you over the hurdle of reducing your meat, fish and dairy intake. See you later. Have a great day.